Welcome back, Truth Seeker. It is Sunday, September 5th, 2021. Want to share a piece of Hollywood propaganda that has come out recently starring Tom Hanks, one of the biggest Hollywood agents in the time of the pandemic. Recall the first celebrity to come down with the virus. Mr. Sleepless in Seattle, as the epicenter to start the pandemic in the U.S. was in Seattle. The man who was supposedly filming a movie about Elvis when he contracted the virus. Remember, Elvis got the polio vaccine on live TV October 28th, 1956. Bill Gates' first birthday, a Seattle man. The same day that Jonas Salk turned 42. Elvis got it 42 weeks after his birthday. Of course, in Gematria, vaccine's 42. But Tom Hanks, the man who gave us the Instagram post last year of how he's losing to his wife by 201 points in gin rummy, but he's feeling better. And again, Event 201 was the coronavirus pandemic simulation. Tom Hanks was in the Da Vinci Code series, including the movie Inferno, which came out on Bill Gates' birthday, a movie about a billionaire who wants to depopulate the world with a virus. So on Christmas Day, remember, it's the Society of Jesus that's behind all of this, the Jesuits who serve the Catholic Church. Tom Hanks is their actor pawn. But on Christmas Day, a fitting day for a Society of Jesus ritual, this movie released, News of the World, and it ends with a big Jesus joke that most people, some people might kind of get it on the surface, but they won't understand the number that is laid down in the joke. But this movie, News of the World, it's set in 1870 in post-Civil War Texas, and it's about a former soldier who's now a newsman. And throughout the film, you get to see how, he captivates the minds of audiences, how he can persuade audiences with his news stories, the power of news. That's kind of what this movie's about. And what happens early in the movie is, he's on the path. He travels from town to town. He makes his money reading the news stories of the day, going to towns and telling people about stories going on in other towns. And while he's on the path, he comes across a wagon that's been ransacked and, there's blood on the ground. Nearby, he finds a man who's murdered and hung in a tree, a black man, and it says, somebody put a sign on the black man's body hanging in the tree, Texas is whites only or something like that. And then nearby in the bushes, he finds a little blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl who's German, who doesn't speak any English, who's been living on a Native American reservation. And the movie's about him protecting her, And it's kind of interesting because QAnon, which is a Jesuit psyop, QAnon was putting out the rumors that Tom Hanks was a pedophile, and this movie is about how he has to protect this little girl, including from pedophiles and sex traffickers. So I'm sure the QAnon types who've seen this movie are like, you got to be kidding me. And again, you guys, none of this stuff's an accident. QAnon is the same thing QAnon is the same people who made this movie. It is the Jesuits. Not the people who became part of the movement, but the people who are responsible for QAnon is the Society of Jesus, the Jesuit order, as we've proven a gazillion times. But look at this, you guys. I just want you to see what they do in the three news stories. There's three scenes in the movie where he's reading news stories to audiences. And in the first one, the very first news story he's reading to an audience is about this epidemic out there that's taking lives, right? Kind of like the COVID pandemic. But he says, so far, and he looks up at the camera with his big eyes, it's taken 97 lives. And I'm just like, God, I feel like he's looking in the camera to mock my ass. 97 lives? Are you kidding me? First of all, remember death when you run the alphabetic order in reverse is 97, right? But then the movie's about, post-Civil War America, and Civil War is 97 with just the most simple cipher, the alphabetic order. So the movie starts with him reading that news story. You're getting to know his character and how he gets the attention of audience. And then it wants us to start with a epidemic that's taken 97 lives so far. Okay. So you got that. And with regards to this being the Society of Jesus, look at this, you guys. The movie's called News of the World, right? News of the World. I forgot my S. News of the World. 187, 191, right? And granted, it begins in 1870, 1870. News of the World, 187 in the most simple cipher. But that 187, 191, remember, Society of Jesus has the 187, 191. Notice also that News of the World is 65 and 70. 65 and 70. Remember, this came out on Christmas, or Christianity, the Christian holiday. Christianity is 65, right? Came out on Christmas. And with regards to the 70, Vatican is 70 and Francis is 70. That's who the Society of Jesus serves. And we're in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. So News of the World has the 187, the 191. Society of Jesus has the 187, the 191. And in actual history, in 1870, Standard Oil by the Rockefeller family put out this logo with Society of Jesus in Latin right on the logo, and the cross and the burning heart, which are all Catholic themes. And remember, the name Rockefeller has the overlap with Society of Jesus. So this movie on Christmas Day, Mithra's birthday, the old god of Rome, now Jesus' birthday, the newer god of Rome. But the first story, the epidemic, the 97 dead. The next story, what's interesting about the next story is that he comes into this village in Texas where what it's all about is, these people they're living off of all the buffalo. They're slaughtering all the buffalo around. Their town runs on the buffalo slaughter. But the town, what their claim to fame is that they kill every black, every Indian, every Mexican, right? And you can tell that Tom Hanks' character, he doesn't really like this. He's supposed to look like the good northerner with these ignorant, racist southerners, right? That's also part of the theme of the movie. And remember, Abraham Lincoln penned the letter, June 8th, 1864. There never would have been a civil war without the sinister influence of the Jesuits. But Tom Hanks, what he does, because he wants to change this town, its image. Again, it's showing the power of the news. So the leader of this town finds out he's a newsman, and he wants him to go in front of his people and tell great stories about his town, about the killing of the blacks and the Mexicans and the Indians, and how much money they're making off the buffalo trade. He wants them to go before his town. He kind of gets up on a podium, old Western scene. Townspeople gather around and listen to the newsman talk. So his instruction is to go do that. But instead he says, I was going to get up here and tell you stories of your town, but you guys already know your town. He goes, let me tell you a town about some northerners up in Pennsylvania. And at first they're kind of like, wait a minute, northerners. But then he tells the story of a coal mine collapse and how all these men died, but there were 11 men, 11 heroes, again, 11, right, who survived, okay? So then he has this great story of heroism in 11, and again, we're talking about, the Society of Jesus. Jesus got 11 in the most pure cipher. Jesus also has 61, like Christmas is 61, like Christian has the 61, like church has the 61. Again, 61 comes from sacred geometry. 61 is the number that symbolizes God because of the flower of life. And again, gematria means geometry and language. Again, there's a reason for all this. But 11's the master number. Jesus, the master entity in Christianity, if you will. So, in the first story, you have 97, clearly paying tribute to death and civil war. Then you got this story of the 11 heroes, the men inspired by God who survived this mine fire and collapse. And what it shows, though, is he's telling the story of these great northerners. The people really like the story. And I don't want to ruin the movie for you, but a lot comes out of that because the guy who wanted him to tell the story of his town doesn't like it. And all this, it's the most action that happened. Well, there's some action in this movie, but anyway, what Hollywood movie doesn't have some action? But the first story, 97, the next story, 11. The next time you see him as a newsman is at the very end of the movie. And the last story is about a 47-year-old man. Again, if you guys are new here, the whole reason I know gematria, the license plate in the background that says, what is 47? But it's because for years I looked at news media and I said, why in the world do they put 47 in so many stories? Like, it's just like it has to be inserted in there. 47 this, 47 that. Been documenting this, a gazillion times over. Just yesterday in the news, David Patton dead at 47, or a couple days ago, actually. But news 47, right? And the last story he tells is of a 47-year-old man who was buried for 3 days and resurrected. And it's not a story of Jesus, but it's a story of a guy who was accidentally buried, and then they figured out that it was an accident, and they went back and dug him back up. But again, a 47-year-old man, and most people will never get the joke, right? Because it's a joke. Christian in the most pure ciphers, 47. This movie came out on Christmas Day, right? Came out on Christmas Day, Jesus' birthday, when the sun is resurrecting. God's Son, the Son in the sky, the Son of a Man, the Word with the multi-purpose. But Christian 47, right? News is 47. A newsman reading a story in a movie that comes out on Christmas Day that has a clear parallel to Jesus, right? And again, just remember, like, authority is 47, right? Government is 47. President is 47. White House is 47. Republican is 47. Democrat is 47. The letters DC is 47. We got Joe Biden, the 47th vice president right now, who was in DC for 47 years before becoming president-elect, who took office the first time as VP with 47-year-old Obama, who replaced Trump, the other Jesuit stooge, just like Biden is. And again, Trump's a 47, who was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel. Again, everybody should be able to understand through that example that because there's 4 ciphers based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards, this stuff's not a coincidence. Not anything equals 47. Here, I have a 3-part name, Zachary. None of that equals 47. My middle name, Keith. None of that equals 47. Hubbard. None of that equals 47. You put my full name there. Zachary Keith Hubbard. No 47, right? You do my shortened name, Zach Hubbard. No 47, You do Zachary K. Hubbard. I mean, no 47. Not everything equals a certain number. But White House, President, Republican, Democrat, government, authority, D.C., they're all 47. Not to mention, it was laid out by a French Freemason, L'Enfant, of the Scottish Rite, where they set their compass at 47 degrees in tribute to the 47th problem of Euclid, which is about foundation. And what's the foundation of this world these days? I'd say it is religion, government news, the 47 things, the things controlling the minds of the masses. So, again, you have this movie put out clearly by the Society of Jesus on Christmas Day, mocking us with the events of the time. Consider that this was just days before the Capitol insurrection, where the Confederate flag flew through D.C., and again, if you guys are not aware of this somehow, I've talked about it a gazillion times. Pretty soon I'll be in the latest book. But Confederate 201, and again, the Confederate statue of Albert Pike, who was also a Freemason, his statue fell on June 19th, 2020. 201 days later, you had the Confederate flag flying through D.C. at the staged Capitol insurrection on 6/1, right? When the Civil War began in 1861. And again, the Jesuit order. Big number with them, 201. I don't know if there were any 201s in this movie. Might be if I decode it, but I didn't catch any. But again, 3 news stories. We know what's up with 3, right? When you write out 3, it's 56, like Society of Jesus. But it's just, you guys, it's just the way we're mocked. I mean, just the fact that they got to use Tom Hanks in this movie that begins with him reading about an epidemic with 97 dead. It's just, I mean, I don't know what it is about people and saying shit like, this work is all confirmation bias. I mean, are you fucking retarded, man? Did I not identify, death and Civil War in 97 in a big way in the George Floyd ritual with what they did in 2020? I certainly did. It's in my book, Number Games 9/11 to a Coronavirus, so the movie has to start this way? You know what I mean? So far, 97 dead from this epidemic. 11 men, 11 heroes in the coal mine. The 47-year-old who rose, after 3 days in the grave. It's just... It is something else, you guys. It is something else. The way the minds of the masses cannot wake up to this knowledge. It's just, go watch the Nicolas Cage movie. What's it called? National Treasure Part 2, when he kidnaps the president, and the president ends up liking him, and he says, hey, when you get out of here, make sure when you get that book, you look at what's on page 47, instruction from the president. What was I showing? One of the comic book movies, from a year ago. I think it's like, I forget which one it was. X-Men movie or something, but they're staring at a wall with a big 47 on it, and they're like, the truth is hidden in plain sight. It's just like, come on, man. Oh, man. So anyway, I told Sweet Lady I'd be short because got a bunch of errands to do here. But, yeah, I just had to get on and share about this movie. This was the movie Sweet Lady picked out last night, so we watched this one, and I thought, my, oh my. This is my enjoyment of watching movies these days. It's just like, look how they just encode this propaganda, man, and just mock our asses, and people don't see it. So, yeah, if you don't think the Jesuits run the show, you just go back and think about Rockefeller families, these type of families that run the nation, and how they got the Society of Jesus right on their logo, What more is there to say? Standard Oil equals Jesuit order. We'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Have a great rest of your day. And, for all you college football fanatics, there's one ranked game on this Sunday, right on 9/5. 9/5, and you know who's playing on Sunday? The Catholic school, Notre Dame, 95. And the opposing coach comes in with 41 career wins. Notre Dame's facing a coach who has 41 wins under his belt coming into this game. And again, remember, the Jesuits created to counter the 95 Theses, recognized by Rome September 27th, the day leaving 95 days left in the year. See who they off on this day this year on September 27th. A few years ago, it was old Hugh Hefner. But, yeah, again, it's just from the sports games to the movies to the news, it's all scripted the same way, you guys, every single day. Again, the calendar and the language are both credited to the Catholic Church. It's all synced up through the Jesuits. Every day they're performing their rituals, the way they unleash the news on us, the way they unleash the movies, the sports games. I'm telling you, it's all the same when you learn the code. It's not confirmation bias. It's clearly fact. All right, Truth Seeker. Till next time.